All right, everyone, welcome back into another props video. Going to be touching on the top prop bets for this Sunday night showdown between the LA Chargers and the Cincinnati Bengals. Let's go on and get into it. So, as always, I like to start off with a little bit of a game preview here. And what we're going to notice is that this game is pretty high scoring. I mean, especially for this Chargers team that, wasn't really supposed to be known for their offensive play, although they have looked much better offensively. Justin Herbert has looked great thus far this year. So 48 is kind of high. I'm a little bit shocked by that, but I do think it makes sense. The Bengals offense has looked great recently. They're still going to be without Zach Moss, but they are getting back T. Higgins as well. Tight end wise, Mike Gesicki played about 70% of the snaps last week, and that was with rookie tight end Eric All being injured. Also, you had Gus Edwards returning for the Chargers, getting about 25% of the snaps. He is someone that could see an increase in the snaps as well. So definitely some interesting spots. We'll touch on that more in depth here. Let's go ahead and get into the PrizePicks cheat sheet. And so looking at, guys, the top prop bet that we have on the board right now is going to be J.K. Dobbins to get under a touchdown, not to score a touchdown. And I do think that that would play in with Gus Edwards getting a little bit more work in this game, and also just Gus Edwards being the goal line back, kind of like what people thought he was brought in to do. And I would argue that's kind of correct. I would agree with that approach. Now, we do see Dobbins, obviously very much kind of a lucky, fluky type bet here. Given the spot that we have, sure, I can get behind this one being the under bet that we should be rolling with here for J.K. Dobbins. That is the top prop bet really that we have on the board today for this game, but also just in general for the Chargers as well. From there, the next best bet that we have is actually Josh Palmer to get under 2.5 receptions. Not exactly one that I'm like crazy about, but we did see his snaps really go down last week to about 54%. And he is someone that has seen his role kind of be reduced, and I can get behind that one as well. Like, it's a one-game slate. We're not going to have a bunch of like great EV bets. Like, I can get behind this one. We see the game log has not been pretty for him. Now, I would argue the Chargers offense has been facing a lot of tough defenses, and that kind of is the case again this week, but one of the more easy matchups that they've had lately. And so maybe they need to get Josh Palmer going a little bit more, but also maybe they're playing from behind a little bit more to the point where they have to run out a lot of 11 personnel. We could see that happening. If that happens, I actually don't mind the idea of Quentin Johnston having to play a little bit more and having to get a little bit more receptions. I actually don't mind the over 3.5 receptions, but not a crazy one. And then Ladd McConkey as well. They just haven't had to throw the football all too much. And so I wouldn't mind his over 4.5 receptions, but at 5, I would say that that's the correct line on PrizePicks. And so the reason why I'm getting into that is because like there just isn't that many edges, at least on PrizePicks, with a lot of these bets. Do you think Gus Edwards is going to be more involved? Maybe. I don't hate 7.5 rush attempts, but not one that I'm like, yes, let's bet that. And that's kind of the issue with basically all the bets that we are getting here for the Chargers. Like, we're getting a slight prop line difference here for receiving yards between PrizePicks and Underdog. And we see the average sportsbook line is telling us to bet that the line should be in the middle. So I don't know if you guys like that bet one way or the other. By all means, attack it. But yeah, we're just not getting too many edges here on on PrizePicks. So let's jump into Underdog. And guys, that's going to be more of the same. To be honest with you, it's a very tight board. It's definitely strange. Kind of the slate that we had. The one player that I don't mind betting on would be like Will Dissly. But all the lines that we're getting for Will Dissly are correct, or they're just like goblin or demon values, and we don't need to be chasing those. So it's definitely an interesting board in that regard. And so let's go ahead and jump on into Cincinnati. And so sticking with Underdog here, we're seeing that the top prop bet that we have is actually Drew Sample to basically not get a catch in this game. That one has a 53.5% likelihood to hit, and that's going to be on Underdog. That is okay. But I do want to just show you guys the tight end snaps for the Bengals, because Eric Hall had been someone that was like working his way up to get around 50% of the snaps, to the point where Mike Gesicki was a little bit of an afterthought. I know, like in DFS, like DraftKings, FanDuel, people were like playing him a lot, kind of getting lucky because his role wasn't exactly warranting the ownership that he was getting. Last week, that did work out for Gesicki, getting 70% of the snaps. If that happens again, kind of crazy. Drew Sample, we did see get a lot of snaps last week, 56% of the snaps. And then Tanner Hudson, I still would argue is their best pass catcher, although Mike Gesicki has looked good as well. That was kind of my bold statement at the start of the year, is that Tanner Hudson could be their top receiving tight end. That's clearly not correct, but I do like the talent of Tanner Hudson still, but that's why we're getting so many prop bets here for the Bengals. All in all, guys, like probably a spot where we don't know. Like, we did see those snaps were all spread out for the tight ends. If Mike Gesicki, sure, continues to get that many snaps, his line of 27.5 receiving yards on Underdog is definitely too low, but it's a guessing game. Like, we just don't know. And I would assume that I don't know, the Chargers defense is so good, and so I don't know if they're going to try to go with more of the blocking tight end or more with the receiving tight end. It's a guessing game, honestly, where they try to go. Now, another bet that I do like is actually Chase Brown to get over his rush attempts of 15.5. I don't get this line. It's a strange line on both sites, and the reason I like it is because I do think that it's a little bit game script dependent. Don't get me wrong there. Like if they're playing with the lead, if this game is close, it's not a game where they're playing from behind, basically. I do think there's a good chance that he gets this over. I get why people aren't betting on it, but again, Zach Moss still being banged up, he should still get that heavy workload. Like Chase Brown ended up getting 87% of the snaps last week. 2 weeks ago, 80% of the snaps. And so I would imagine that he is going to be kind of the focal point. I shouldn't say focal point. They have T. Higgins back, like not the focal point, but he's going to be involved. And so I understand why the under's favored. I guess it's just the bet that we shouldn't be really targeting. But again, one game slate, we have to find some bets. I don't mind that. Now, I do want to call it an interesting bet that we are getting for Chase Brown. His targets, 4.5 targets. We see his reception line is at 4.5. And yes, I would say these do correlate pretty well. Like if he's going to get 4.5 targets, he probably will get over, or sorry, if he gets 4.5 targets, yeah, he will get 5 receptions is what's going to happen. Or if he gets 4 targets, he's going to get 4 receptions. But if we look at it, guys, like again, with Zach Moss being out, he has seen his role increase a lot. And if you just combine the season stats for Chase Brown and Zach Moss, they are typically averaging this over receptions. And in this high scoring game, I could get behind that. Again, it's a very tight board today in this game where there are, somewhat of unknowns, I would say. And so, yeah, we're just not getting that many edges here in general. Like if you like Tanner Hudson to get like 2 catches in this game, sure, go for that. Drew Sample to not be blocking, you could go with that. Now, I do want to call it T. Higgins was looking pretty darn good before he got banged up. And assuming that he's going to be healthy and good to go, I actually don't mind his over receiving yards. Like that'd be a good traditional sportsbook bet I wouldn't mind betting on, but I don't think we would need to go crazy with that. And with T. Higgins back, could we see Jamar Chase not having as good of a game? Potentially, but I don't want to bet on that as well. It's an annoying slate. It really is. And like just in general for this game, like we have Evan McPherson to get his over kicking points at almost a 53% likelihood, and then Gilman assists. That's really it. So we'll jump on into PrizePicks. And so for PrizePicks, guys, more of the same. We are seeing Jamar Chase to get under his touchdowns. Like honestly, that's like J.K. Dobbins under touchdowns, Jamar Chase under touchdowns. That's pretty much it. Like those are the 2 best bets. I will say, like, high scoring game, don't exactly love the fact that you got 2 players that are probably 2 of the most likely to score touchdowns. I don't like that. Like if you're betting on those 2, you're basically betting on the game total to not be that high, which I would be more agreeing with. But a lot of the bets again here, not big edges. Okay, so it's definitely probably the most unique game, and for me personally, guys, probably one of the games I'm most excited to watch because of a little bit of that unknown. And that's kind of the beauty about really the Chargers, is that they can win in different ways. And that's pretty exciting. Like if Justin Herbert has 2 passing touchdowns, I wouldn't be shocked. Now that's not favored to happen. That's not a bet that we should be making on PrizePicks or Underdog, but it wouldn't be shocking. So with that, guys, let's go ahead and get into the bets of the day for today. Do want to remind you guys of the promo code that's going on the website. Use promo code Keep Cashing to get 20% off your first month membership at 9to5sports.com. Or if you guys are a returning member, you can take advantage of that discount as well. And so looking at the PrizePicks bet of the day, again, just keeping it simple here. These are the 2 best bets that we have on the slate today. Hopefully they hit. That's kind of it. At least we are getting 2 good bets on PrizePicks at least. If we use these on underdogs, the payout's going to be decently reduced, so no real reason to target those ones there. And guys, this is the nice thing about the cheat sheet, is that we know when we are getting good edges and we know when we're not. Like we shouldn't be forcing bets just to force them. I mean, it's a 1 game slate. We're going to have a little bit of exposure to have some fun, but we're not going to go crazy with it because the edges aren't massive for this game. And so for Underdog, I am trying to, this is where I get a little bit of fun with it, I guess. Like if you wanted to do the over receptions, we're getting a little bit of a boosted payout there for Chase Brown. You could. Again, the under is pretty favorited there for his under 4.5 receptions. So probably a better traditional bet. Ladd McConkey to get over 4.5 receptions, not an elite bet. This is a bet now more so on the game being as high scoring as Vegas sees it. And I do think T. Higgins, betting on him just basically being healthy there. Okay. To be fair, guys, these are probably the only 2 bets I'm running out for this game, unless we get more bets that are popping up later on in the day as like good EV bets. Full disclosure there, like very, very slim exposure night for me. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Appreciate you being here. Make sure to give a like and subscribe to the channel. That does help out a lot. Again, if you guys want access to any of the tools that you saw in this video, head on over to 9to5sports.com. Get access to those for just $10 a month. When you use promo code Keep Cashing, get the first month for $8. That's going to be all, guys. give a like and subscribe. And as always, let's keep cashing.